Hi, my name is Rudy, and this is my real-world experience with dealing with Pacific Debt Relief. I'm not getting any kind of financial compensation or any compensation for this whatsoever. This is how it really happened for us, and we were very, very pleased with the results. My parents were married for 56 years, and my father took care of all the finances. And unfortunately, he passed away, and everything got kind of put on my plate to deal with it. My mother's 86 years old, has dementia, and sometimes she can't even remember what day it is. So there was no way she was going to be able to handle any of this. Well, as we're dealing with a financial situation, we found out that there was a credit card that was on auto pay. That bank account had gone down to zero, and the payments were not being made to the credit card. I got in touch with a credit card company. I said, can we work together to resolve this? And they said, oh, we'd be happy to, but we can't even talk to you because your name's not on the card. So it takes a little bit of time for me to be on the card so I can speak on my mother's behalf. Well, to do that, it takes a couple of weeks, and they wouldn't stop the interest rate. They wouldn't stop the late fees. They wouldn't stop anything. So by the time I got on there, the clock was still running on the interest and the late fees. And we put an appeal. I told them my mother's situation. She's 86 years old. She can't afford this. Can we just put a stop to the interest and the late fees, and we'll see about doing something? Well, they said we can send a letter of appeal up the change to our supervisor and see what they say. And I said, great, can you stop the interest? They said, no, we can't stop the interest. Can you stop the late fees? No, we can't stop the late fees. So everything we wanted to work with them, their clock was still running. And the letter of appeal was sent, got denied. So we sent another one to the super duper supervisor, and they said no. Then we sent one to the ultra mega supervisor, and they said no. And all of this took anywhere from a week to a week and a half to 2 weeks to a month, etc. And again, the interest rate would not stop. The late payment fees would not stop. So after a while, that $2,500, roughly that modest amount that was manageable, turned into roughly $8,000. And the credit card company would not work with us one single bit. They said, we don't care if your mother has dementia. We don't care if she doesn't know what day it is. Her name is on the card. We want every nickel. Our CEO is trying to put new leather seats in his Lamborghini, and we need your mother to pay the money so we can give it to the CEO. That's kind of their attitude towards the whole thing. And I was frustrated beyond belief. So I did some research online, and I found Pacific Debt Relief. Their ratings were fantastic right off the bat. I gave them a call, and we signed up with them. And after just a little bit, I still didn't understand exactly how the whole process worked. And I thought, wow, did I just jump out of the frying pan right into the fire? Is Pacific Debt Relief going to have both hands in my mother's purse again? And so I was kind of apprehensive. And then I had the opportunity to speak with Jill Arrington at Pacific Debt Relief, and she really put my mind at ease. She explained it to where I understood the entire process, and I finally got the feeling that Pacific Debt Relief was actually someone that was in my corner instead of fighting against me and trying to get my mother's last nickel. Jill Arrington essentially explained that there's two ways to go. First of all, you have to build some money in your escrow account, so when Pacific Debt Relief does bargain on your behalf with the credit card companies, and the credit card companies demand some kind of big payment up front, that money's already in the escrow account and they can do it. Otherwise, if the credit card company found out early, they'd go to the courts, tie you up in court, and you're right back essentially where you started, where your debt's not going to be reduced at all. Or she said you can essentially put a big lump sum all of a sudden quickly into your escrow account, and then Pacific Debt Relief can start bargaining on your behalf. That's the avenue we chose because for us it made more sense to get this done as quickly as possible. And next thing you know, Pacific Debt Relief had gotten in touch with a credit card company and settled for half what we owed. And that was a big, big relief to us. And then if you take that financial payment that we had to make into account, in addition to Pacific Debt Relief's payment or their fee, we were still roughly anywhere from 25% to 35% better off than we were before. We were saving anywhere from 25 to 30% off the entire bill. So it made a tremendous amount of sense for us. And to Pacific Debt Relief's credit, Jill Arrington, like clockwork, every single month would call me after a payment was made to the credit card and say, this is where we stand, this is how much is owed, this is when the next credit card is going to be. She did that for 4 months in a row, and because that was how long it took to pay off the credit card. She did that every single month, called me, put my mind at ease, let me know where we stood, and let us know what our next step was going to be. Then, as I said, within 4 months, the credit card bill was completely paid off. We paid the fee for Pacific Debt Relief, and finally, my mom was able to get some relief from that burden. So if you're in a situation like we are, where you have a tremendous amount of debt that you just don't know how you're going to get out of it, and you might feel shame that, how did I get into this position, etc., don't feel any shame. The only people that should feel shame are the credit card companies, because they're milking an 86-year-old woman with dementia for every single nickel she has. They're the ones that should be ashamed. You need to do what you need to do, and you need to have somebody in your corner. That's how I felt. And Pacific Debt Relief, I felt, was in our corner. They were legitimately there to offer understanding, compassion, and work on our behalf. So my experience was absolutely positive. So if you're in this situation, give Pacific Debt Relief a call. If you don't understand it, speak with somebody there that can explain the whole process to you, and then just hang in there. They do this day in and day out, 8 hours a day. So whatever advice they gave me, I followed, because they're the experts in this field. And after I followed their advice, before you know it, it was closed. So best wishes to you. You're going to get through this. If I can get through this, you can get through this. And we did it through Pacific Debt Relief. And again, I'm not getting any kind of financial or any kind of compensation for making this video. Pacific Debt Relief truly helped us out. Good luck.